turning. That's a penalty, is it? No, he's still going. Oh, how about that? How about that?
Carried on into the penalty area. Here he is. And then Giroud. What a goal. Brilliantly worked. Fantastically finished.
Here's Ramsey. And Alexis Sanchez. Great footwork. 3-0. Liverpool blown away. A 3-goal, 8-minute Arsenal blast. Alexis blocked by Newcastle defender. Still not clear. Wow, what a volley. Where others failed, Ozil has succeeded. Well done, Arteta. Plenty of hit here. Yes! Arsenal have their breakthrough. Mikel Arteta. They deserve it. Oh, they're behind again. It's amazing. It's Aaron Ramsey. That's the response of Arsenal. Andy Iwobi, nicely done. Brilliantly done. Bayer in, Walcott. Sensational Arsenal goal. Is that a handball? No. Look at the play. Great, what a goal! Arsenal have made it 3-0. Jack Wilshere with an absolute thunderbolt.
Welcome to the Clock and Talk and Arsenal podcast. Geez, that little intro pumps me up every time, and then you hear Jack Wilshere and it lets you all down. Anyway, how are we all? Tony, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, all good. I mean, obviously, international break now, so I'm going to be bored as shit for 2 weeks. I'm going to have to pretend I care against England, against San Marino or some other nonsense. But, yeah, apart from that, it's coming home.
Oh, fuck off. No, not this again. No.
Hey, there's the Euros coming up. You're going to hear this daily.
And I almost forgot about this gentleman, but he is with us this time, and it's been a long, long time. Jack, how are you, brother?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Taz, yourself?
I'm always good, mate. Always good. Can't you tell? Arsenal beat West Ham.
No,
that's why we are here. But before I get into that, or we get into that, you can now follow us at the CET podcast. Isn't that better? Isn't that fucking better? The CET podcast. Because yes, we are an Arsenal podcast, and that other one was confusing the fuck out of me. So you can also get me at Gurner Taz in my profile. I think I do. Anyway, maybe I don't. But I'm not real fucking sure what's going on.
Taz, it's automatically better rather than hearing you moan every week about the old ads.
Thanks, mate. I can't. Look, it was just a tongue twister. The other one, so done me fucking head
bro,
in.
honestly, I wouldn't have been able to keep doing it. It was so long. It was such a long username. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know if I followed that account. I don't even know if I did anything. So
nice play.
Yeah.
Nice can, eh? Right.
I'm only joking with you.
Am I coming in? Just ask. Am I coming in like delay or something?
Yeah.
No,
it is picking up.
I think I know it's Jack. It's Jack. It's not you.
Oh, okay. Right.
Oh, is it?
UK internet. No, that's right. I'm talking, and then you answer kind of like I'm in delay, and I'm like, I know we're international, but come on. I'll just wait for him to catch up with that. Okay, let's get into it. Arsenal beat West Ham. There was a lot of moaning, a lot of whinging. I almost turned the fucking TV off when it was 3-0 or something. But those who haven't seen the game, it turned out to be a good game. I was actually very proud of the boys. Some may think, fuck, really? But hey, my expectations on this Arsenal team this season is all about rebuilding. So I'm going to be a bit more positive maybe than the other boys. Anyway, Tony, we talk about the lineup every time, mate. So we'll go through the lineup now, buddy. You seen that come out? Your thoughts?
I wasn't best pleased, to be honest. I don't like. I know Aubameyang and Lacazette have got this friendship and whatnot. I don't think they've ever really played well together. I mean, there's obviously a handful of games, but I think if you put together every game they've played together, they've probably played well as a partnership in probably 10% of them, if that. So yeah, that I wasn't I didn't expect that. Obviously, Saka coming back in, no problem with that, and no real problems elsewhere. I thought it was weird change in defence where West Ham have got the height, but they've also got the pace. So I thought it was a bit weird starting Chambers and Murray. I mean, you could also add Luiz into that, but he's kind of part of the furniture, and he's going to start. But Chambers, nothing against him, but I thought it was a bizarre choice. I mean, you look at our three right backs, if you're including him as a right back, and you'd say he's not the worst equipped to play against West Ham. And then Murray, who could, on any given day, could be our best defender. But again, if you're saying who's more suited to that kind of game, it wouldn't be him. I mean, when them two came in against Burnley, everyone went, okay, Burnley aerial team, no, not much pace, so we've brought in height. And it was fair enough. Everyone understood it and there's no arguments. With this one, I looked at it and thought, I can't see why these guys are playing. And I'm kind of, I don't want to say worried about the right back position, but in our last 5 games, Chambers played 2, Hector's played 2, and Cedric's played 1, but Cedric played the biggest one in the North London derby. And I think if you take it back to our last 6 games, they've all played 2 each. And I'm like, you just got to, I understand a bit of rotation, but your 3 right backs playing 2 games each, just, you've got to have a first choice. We sit here now and I don't know who the first choice is.
Yeah, it's like that. And I just looked back at the starting lineup. I actually, full disclosure, I missed the game against Olympiacos because it was a very early game for us. And then when I'd seen once again, I seen the result, 1-0. And I thought to myself, oh, look, we're through. It's kind of a dead rubber thing, We lost the game, but I was more pissed off because I actually had a bet on Arsenal. And I was like, fucking Jesus. But Pepe started there. Aubameyang also started there as well up front. I'm just trying to get a feel. And then I look at the lineup that went out on West Ham. I just don't know what no disrespect. I'm just trying to work out a pattern. I see Chambers started against West Ham, Pablo Mari. It's just is it just the massive rotation? I don't really know now. And then,
I mean, yeah, but I don't think the Olympiacos game is the one to look at because I know it wasn't a dead rubber, but it was very close to being a dead rubber, right? With 2 goals up, they have to score 3. It's not likely. So saying there was changes in that game. I mean, in that game, El Neni also started and Danny started as well. So yeah, but I don't think you can go. He's made loads of changes from that game because, as I said, that game was a almost dead rubber. I don't know what the word for that is.
I know, mate.
You're better looking at sort of how many changes there were from the Tottenham game. For me, that's the way to look at it. I mean, I don't know the answer to how many. I'd imagine it was just Murray, Chambers, and Aubameyang off the top of my head. And there's obviously an argument to say that Aubameyang would have played against Tottenham had he been on time. So in terms of that, it was only 2-3 changes.
Are you thinking that what I was more thinking about though is the Premier League dead? Like, where is he thinking? I wonder where his expectations are for the Premier League as opposed to, hey, we can continue on the Europa League. We've got a good path. Yes, there's a couple of speed humps along the way, but it's going to catapult us back in the Champions League. Is that now? And I know we always have this discussion every season where we wait till later on in the season, but I think now we're 9th or 10th on the ladder. So I just wondering whether that's the thought, Tony.
I don't think he's chucked the Premier League, and I don't think he will. Especially with the size of our squad, we can almost play a second 11 and still be at probably the same level we should be anyway. I mean, or we currently are. As I said, I don't look at that team and go, he's done that with Europa League in mind, especially we haven't got a Europa League game for almost 3 weeks. I just think he made them change whatever. Look, I mean, on the surface, Chambers is probably a bit bizarre. Murray, a month ago was playing every game and looked good, and then you get injured, and then Aubameyang coming back in. You can't say that's reverting to second string. I mean, 2 months ago or 6 months ago, it'd have been, if you wrote the team sheet, the first name you wrote was Aubameyang. So I don't think he's chucked it away. And then you look, obviously, Partey plays, Xhaka plays every week, Luiz plays every week, Tierney plays every week, Leno plays every week. They're all included. So I don't think he's given up on the league, and I think he knows he's in a position where his team are still kind of learning and growing. Whether you think they should be or not, but the fact is they are. So I think he wants to give them minutes together as much as possible. No, I don't think, unless we get real deep in the Europa League, I don't think he'll start back in the league at all. I mean, we saw times with Wenger's last year, and Emery, where as soon as they got anywhere decent in the Europa League, they were fielding joke teams in the Premier League. I don't think we'll ever see that from Arteta, and he's got the squad to not have to do that as well.
Yeah. We do have a massive squad. Jack, your thoughts on the lineup and anything there we just touched on, buddy?
I thought the lineup was relatively surprising. I mean, as Tony said, that they're physical, but they're also quick, and I feel like we were trying to match them up in terms of physicality rather than pace. And I think what it seemed to me at the time, which was it could be a case of him kind of dropping in as a bit like a third centre back in a way, like when their kind of physical players are going forward. But I don't think they necessarily took into account the kind of pace that West Ham do have, especially in the offensive areas. With what you guys are saying though about like kind of losing the league sort of thing, I don't think he's doing that, because I still, as similar to Tony said, I don't think that would happen until a lot later on in the competition. I mean, if you look at even the league, every team's kind of dropping points, and you still kind of know that if we somehow were to go on a run of however many games, that could cause a drastic slide in the table, especially on the basis that we're playing. I think 3 or 9 games are against teams that are ahead of us, but only by a couple of points. So those are essentially 3 6-pointers. And I think time will tell. I mean, look, I don't think where we are in the league reflects it, but I think as Tony said as well, unlike in past seasons, we're really blessed this year when we do have a big squad. Maybe they haven't learned what Arteta wants them to do 100% yet. They're obviously still adjusting and kind of getting into Arteta's what do you call it? What do they call it? Is it psychology or like his ethos,
whatever. I don't
philosophy.
know. Yeah, so I don't.
Philosophy. But I kind of feel that we do have a big squad and we're lucky, and I think we kind of can afford to kind of keep rotating. I just find it weird that we keep rotating our right backs, because like the way you guys were saying that it's done in 2 games each for all 3 of them, it's kind of a bit like school football in a way, where if you've got 3 right backs, the teacher will rotate you to feel not like, do you know what I mean? Like as a gesture of goodwill rather than necessarily being the best player. It worries me if he could be doing that, because it does indicate that he could, in theory, be saying like, this is your trial, finish the season. Whoever the best 2 are staying. The one that I feel is doing the least we sell, hypothetically speaking. Like you never really know.
Yeah,
I don't think Arteta would do that. But that's the only thing that came to mind.
I thought Chambers starting was maybe a pat on the back for his last. Did we mention Chambers in the 3-2-1? When was that? Was that the first leg of the Europa League that he started? I can't remember that.
The only game he's played is Burnley, and maybe this
Burnley, was it? Yeah, I thought he was. I remember his name floating about, and it was like I think it was we were saying, oh shit, we almost forgot about him, didn't we? Like it was his first game back, so maybe it was maybe Arteta thought, well, geez, he was pretty good in that game. He hasn't played for a long time, so I'm going to reward him against West Ham. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, there's been a long gap between them. There's been at least 2, if not 3, Europa League games. There's been obviously the North London derby, and I think one.
Well, he's never going to start. He's not going to start in that one, is he?
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not like a nod. It can't. I wouldn't say, "Oh, you done." It's a nod to you done well before, because it's like 4 weeks ago now, I think.
Yeah, it is. He's going on. You forget how quick time does fly, to be honest. Aubameyang. Anyway, let's get into this game, and then we'll touch on some players in a minute. Look, first, 15, 20 minutes is what we always touch on. I thought we were very, very fucking poor. You could even say the whole first half, Tony, but that first 15 minutes, I thought we are in for a massive, massive big night here. And then in the 15th minute, Lingard scored. You want to take us through that one, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think I tweeted this during the game. I'm not one to criticise Arteta when it's not necessary. and there is a lot of people that are. Look, I'm actually a big fan of him, and I think he will have a good future with us. He got this so wrong from the start of the game, and I was saying it in the Telegram group that even after 5 minutes, I was saying he's got to change this. And I think my actual words were, or just walk off the pitch and give them the 3 points, because the way we were playing, I could see after a couple of minutes that we were never going to get in the game. Chambers was leaving far too much space behind him. I don't know if that was his fault, but he was never going to catch anyone running in behind. Benrahma, Lingard, and Antonio was drifting to that side, who are all quicker than him. So he was too high up. The whole defense was too high up. I say, considering we started the defense made more of height than of pace. Like, even when I saw the team, I said to one of my mates, "This team has to defend on the edge of the area." And then the danger is someone like Souček, but that's a lot more comfortable than their players running in behind. They started 20 yards too high up. Saka and Aubameyang starting on the opposite sides was just fucking weird. I mean, Saka can play on the left, but he's been much more effective on the right. Aubameyang, I don't think's ever had a good game on the right for us, and that's not hammering him. When he was in his best ever form for us, I would say that he can't play on the right. It was just bizarre. Everything was wrong, and it was clear as well. I don't know what he was playing at. And when the goal came, I don't think anyone was surprised. And again, it came from someone, I think it was Antonio, getting in behind Chambers in the space Chambers should have been in. Luiz went out, probably didn't engage enough because he was scared of getting beat. Chambers didn't recover quick enough, and the ball stepped back to the edge area. Chambers just misses it. And then it's a great finish by Lingard. Nothing Leno could do, nothing anyone else could do. But just the whole, I mean, that goal summed up. We were so wrong in so many areas, and that goal summed it up. And I was just like, please change. As I was saying, please change it after 5 minutes. And I was thinking the only joy of that goal was I was half thinking, well, if we didn't concede, maybe we'd carry on like that. But when we conceded, I thought, well, at least at the minimum, like, this should be a sign to change it. And fucking it wasn't. Well, not yet. But yeah, it was.
It was piss poor defending from Arsenal, and I agree with everything you said. I have no idea what the fuck was going on. I don't think the players knew. But this one, Jack, was more fucking bizarre for me. In the 17th minute, the cunts get another one, and in the bizarrest of ways, because it was just I don't know. I am still fucking confused at what happened here. Like, talk us through this one, Jack, because what do you see in your eyes?
I don't fully. I mean, look, I get that it's legal. Do I think it should be? No. However, look, at the end of the day, you're meant to play to the whistle. Despite the fact I didn't hear a whistle on the TV, but again, that TV is irrelevant. I felt that. I think you, rather than pointing a blame at a specific player, whether that's one of the defenders, whether that's Leno, but I mean, I get their arguments, and I know that Addy put in our group chat that because it was a deflection, it can't be Leno's mistake. But I don't overly agree with him and that viewpoint, which I have seen float around on Twitter. And the reason is because, and I was about to say this to you guys just before we started recording. It's all great. It's all great trying to blame someone or anything, but the fact is, you're as a player, you're paid to kind of pay attention. You're meant to have that kind of that read of the game. You're meant to understand what's going on around you. And I feel like all our players just set, like, as soon as the foul happened, they just assumed that it was going to be a shot that was going to be taken. They were going to build a wall and everything. Kind of just stopped, and it was very, I'd say, good, quick thinking from West Ham, and it paid dividends for that. But I just think that as a whole, we keep falling short to these stupid mistakes, just sheer kind of lack of concentration. I mean, and and this is what seems to be continuously kind of stopping us getting these 3 points, because I mean, it seems like it's a continuous theme in the season that we haven't actually, in a lot of games, been that awful. We've been giving away really stupid, like, random mistakes, which are one-offs, but they make the game a draw. Or, for example, they could also cost us all 3 points. I mean, we've seen it constantly through, I'd say, the whole season. It seems like every 3 or 4 games maximum, something like this keeps happening. I think that they really do need to do something to kind of work on this sort of concentration and kind of understand the actual in-game management from the players' point of view of how to react in different situations, because they just keep making these stupid mistakes of concentration. I mean, I've got ADHD. I don't shy away from it. And it seems like the players are the ones that need my medication more than me. But yeah.
It is very bizarre. Tony, Jack did touch on, the free kick and play to the whistle there. Can you just take me back to, and take the listeners back to what happened on that free kick and what made the free kick happen and what in what argument did the Arsenal players have?
It is a strange one because look, I don't think the Arsenal players have much of an argument. They all switched off. They all went to sleep, and you can't afford to do that, especially the players around the ball. But see, I don't really know the rule because I know Jack says play to the whistle, which is like the first thing you're taught. But the whistle doesn't have to go for a free kick. It has to go for a free kick to be given, but it doesn't have to go for a free kick to be taken unless the referee marks out a wall, and then it does. What was bizarre, not bizarre, I don't know what the word is, because John Moss has got the can out to the spray and he's talking to the Arsenal players. Look, I'm not going to blame anyone but the players. I'm just saying I don't really know what the rule is because once he's engaging with the players and talking with the players and he's got the spray out, are they right to be thinking, okay, the game's stopped and the wall's going to be marched out? Because at what point does it then that become the case? If he's standing around talking to 3 or 4 players who are arguing the decision, can the team then go and take the free kick? And again, I'm not making any excuses. The goal should stand. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And it's poor from basically every Arsenal player. I'm just saying I don't really know what the rule is, and I think that should be clarified because, in a week or so, or when the league's back, someone's going to try that again. And it will be disallowed, and people will go, but it was allowed in the West Ham game. So that's why I think it should be clarified. In terms of the actual goal, it's piss poor from so many players. I thought it's funny. We bigged up KT massively on the podcast last week. I thought he probably had one of his worst games for us. I thought he was poor in the whole thing, and look, it came down his side. So yes, everyone switched off, but when it's your man that scores down your side, you have to probably give him the majority of the blame, and it's not usually like him to switch off as well, which is a bit annoying. But for me, I couldn't care less if it took a deflection. That is a horrendous mistake from Leno, and look, everyone knows my feelings on Leno. That guy gets away with absolutely everything with our fan base. Like, he makes a mistake every single week, and no one we don't mention it. It's just like, it's fine, yeah, and then he'll make a great save next week, and people will go, he's world class. He's just not. Like, I don't want to hate on him. Look, I want him to be brilliant, and he has had brilliant games, but every single week I could pick out a mistake he makes. But people don't want to hear it for whatever reason. The guy's like fucking Teflon Don.
I get where you're coming from, but for me, I never thought I blamed Leno for that because, let's face it, the kick was taken so quickly. I almost think Leno, and I've watched it back, but I haven't watched Leno back. What are his actions? Is he like, is he almost looking at the players arguing with the ref, or is he, where was he in that situation? Because
the ball creeped past him at the near post, and it wasn't going quick. He didn't, like, people going on about the deflection, and look, it was a tiny deflection from quite a long distance away from him. And it wasn't like he was, if he dived to his right, and then the ball went in on his left, I go, okay, the deflection beat him. The deflection was a yard, not even a yard from Bowen. So it's basically not changed the shot at all, because it's not like Leno's had time to react to Bowen's shot. It's trickled in. I mean, look, the golden rule is don't get beat at your near post. And if you're going to get beat at your near post, don't get beat by a ball that's rolling along the floor at 0 mile an hour. I think Bowen was shocked to score. Leno knows it was a mistake. You can see, like, the camera's got on him straight away, and if it's not your fault, and everyone knows as a keeper, if it's not your fault, you blame absolutely everyone else. And he could have blamed everyone else because there was mistakes from everyone. So I always say most goals aren't one person's fault, but that's done Leno a favour.
You felt that he should have been ready for it, and if anybody was ready, he should have been him. Yeah.
He should have saved it. Like, even unready, he should be saving that. And you remember, he's got longer to react because, okay, our players switch off, and again, they're all at fault. But someone plays the ball through to Bowen. Okay, the game's on now, so them other players haven't got time to react. Like now the ball's through to Bowen. Them other players, if they switch on at that point, it's too late because Bowen's already in. Whereas Leno still has another few seconds because he can switch on at that point and still set himself and make a save. Like as I said, I'm not saying it's 100% Leno's fault, but it's just not good enough, and we see it all the time. But people don't want to criticize him for whatever reason. And I'm not even bringing up is Emmy better. Like this is not that.
Yeah, no. Let's not get in that part.
No, yeah. I don't want to because that comes. But it's just like, when are we going to start realizing that this guy's every week? Like we spoke last week about the Tottenham game where the Kane free kick that hit the post, he jumps the wrong way. The Kane header that's offside where no one knows he's offside. Well, Leno doesn't know he's offside. He's hugging one post and the ball goes in the other post. Like his positioning's terrible. Another time a cross comes in, we're under pressure. No one near him, catch it, lie down on the floor, take the pressure out. No, he punches it, they get the ball back. Like he does something every week that fucking infuriates me. And it pisses me off that no one else is like, that within our fan base is just like, oh yeah, Leno's class is the reaction. It's like, actually watch him because he needs to improve. I'm not saying I want him sold, I want him to improve.
I bring this up because you're a diehard Englishman fan and we are going in international break. Pickford or Leno?
Oh, Pickford's shite. No, but if England are playing Germany tomorrow, I want Leno in goal for Germany.
Okay, I just want to give you a chance to say, yeah, I'm not hating on him, but I just, yeah.
Can I quickly jump in there just to say that I would rather Runnison in goal to Pickford for England if Runnison could magically become English, and I think Runnison is crap. Like Pickford is
kid, like, yeah, but you know what? That poor bastard, like, it wasn't he. Yeah,
have you noticed?
He should never be in an Arsenal goal. Like he just shouldn't have even been near the team. The poor cunt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't signed for Arsenal, we wouldn't even know who that fucking clown was. Poor cunt.
Have you noticed how when it's the Europa League what I find quite funny, and it's really really unfair, like, savage on Runnison, but it's hilarious. Whenever we play in the Europa League, obviously you're allowed a much bigger bench, so we always put two keepers. So normally it would be Ryan and Runnison on the bench. I love how he puts like Hine or Nkonkwo there instead. Like Runnison isn't even being regarded as our third choice.
Runnisson's not in the squad.
I don't think he's injured.
No, he's not in the squad.
He's not there.
Oh, was he not registered at all in the European squad?
No, because they needed the extra homegrown space, so they took him in.
Look,
I'm probably
going to be called. I'm going to be called biased here. But, you know, like, at what point does Matt Ryan get a run? Like, seriously, like, we're going in deep. Like, I'm just going to put this to you, though, boys. Like, we're talking Leno here, and okay, I'm not a Leno hater, right? By all means. But I think Matt Ryan is a very, very, very good goalkeeper and a very good second-choice goalkeeper. But at what point do I go, okay, we're in a Europa League final. I'm starting to question who we play. Like, we're seeing mistakes every week from Leno, and I get where Tony's coming from because I see it as well. But I just don't know. Like, you're in a Europa League final. Like, I'm starting to think, do you boys want Leno or Ryan there?
Honestly, part of me, I like Leno. I think he's a great keeper. My opinion on Leno is very different to Tony's, but Leno does make little errors of concentration quite a bit, like recently. And the fact that Ryan is a diehard like Arsenal fan since being a kid would give me a temptation to play him in a final. But I think we'll see a lot of Ryan. Maybe not this season, but I'd be shocked if the loan for him isn't the same as what we did for Cedric, where he comes on a free at the end of the season anyways, and that's kind of all pre-agreed principle. It's just what I presume, just if you compare the two. But I agree with you, Tez. I mean, I'd like to see Ryan have a couple of games. I thought he had a great game against Villa, despite the fact we lost apart from the first minute. But yeah,
look, he does have mistakes in him too. Don't get me wrong, like every other goalkeeper too. But like these guys aren't on level of De Gea or something. You know, like they're not on that class level, and I think that's the problem.
I disagree.
You reckon?
I think De Gea is finished. I think he's shit. I wouldn't put De Gea in my top 5 in the league, and
Well,
I
this
would give a
season
very
he hasn't.
strong argument
He
for
hasn't
Leno to
stood
be in
out
there.
really. Yeah, he hasn't stood
For,
out this season, has he? Really? Mm.
for 2 or
But you
3
can't
years, he's
base
been
that off
making
one
some quite.
season, Jack.
No, but I'm not. For the last 2 or 3 years, he's been making some quite big, high-profile errors in games. He really does, to me, seem like he's. I mean, I completely agree with him not playing and Dean Henderson starting ahead of him. If from that point of view, I don't think De Gea is not even 40-50% of the keeper that he once was. If I'm being completely honest, I think he's a flop. I know it's controversial. I think he's been shit for a couple of years now.
Yeah, no, mate, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just think that, like, I don't know. This playing out from the back fucks me up, right? That is your okay, and people are going to say, "Oh, but we've been doing it for a little while now. We did it with Wenger, and we did, right?" But this playing out from back, that is all we're doing. And either someone needs to teach Leno how to pass a ball or kick a fucking ball, because the bloke just can't do it. So your whole game plan runs around on the basis of play out from the back, and the bloke starting the play can't kick the fucking ball. That's where I look at.
But Taz, if you want to play devil's advocate,
shit positions. He puts it in shit positions too. Your mic's cutting in and out too, Joe.
Is it still? Does it seem delayed well? Because it sounded like you stopped speaking there, but then you carried on. I didn't mean to interrupt if you were still speaking, but I'm not really sure. You all seem clear on my end. So
yeah, okay. Any add on any of that, Tony?
No, I mean, I've made my thoughts on him pretty clear.
Okay. Couple of questions couple of thoughts coming through. Rohan says, agree with Tony. Okay, buddy, do not ever write that here, because then he gets a big head and we go,
oh my good God.
It goes without saying.
Can I just say, what is the
you
point?
Need to say you agree with me.
Can I just say, because I presume his name doesn't end with a 5567 HYJJH. like just keep your name, mate. No offense. Like, that's long.
It's coming through on
Jesus
YouTube.
Christ.
Is that all you're picking on the poor cunt about?
Yeah, but
it's
still,
actually
it's like,
Island,
it looks
Island
like
boy
he's, no offense to him.
Yeah. He's a good supporter. Shout out, Rowan. Don't worry about Jack, mate. He agrees with Jack, though. Oh,
also,
he
apologies
Jack
if
up.
that's the name.
Yeah.
Apologies if that's the name written on his passport as well. If that's also got the 5567 HYJJH.
Has been doing downhill, he says, since United finished second. Okay, look, that's about the goalkeepers. That's on the second goal. Now we're going to go to a third goal for West Ham. Tony, I think it was about the 30th odd minute or something, from memory.
Yeah. What was always going to be a danger was Souček arriving late, and I think we got a bit unlucky in that we was protecting against him from the first ball, but then Antonio wins the first ball. His header's going wide, and we're so deep because we were protecting against Souček winning the first ball that I'm not sure if it was a really good finish or a bit of luck from him to deflect it in. And it's funny, I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, offside. And even Antonio's like not celebrating, and you see the West Ham player said to him why, and he was like, well, it touched him. Like, so he thought he was offside. And then obviously they showed it and he wasn't. But yeah, again, just poor defending. Just again, it's like relying on one situation. Okay, stop Souček getting the first ball and then forgetting about absolutely everything else. Just again, Bowen getting to the byline. I think it was Bowen. It's just, and then he laid it back for Soufal, and who was unmarked. And I don't know if Aubameyang and Saka had swapped by then. I think they had. And Soufal's on his own, so someone's not done their defensive work. Defensive midfielders nowhere to be seen. I think that came from losing it from a goal kick as well, which, again, I know we've just finished talking about Leno, and it was poor from KT. And as I said earlier, I think KT had his worst game from us. But Leno done what he always does, which is, I completed my pass, fuck you. Like, I don't care if you've got 15 men around you.
This is my problem with Leno. Like, he just, I like Leno. I like when we signed him. I thought to myself, look, we've had Czech there for a while. We did buy him from Chelsea. I was so getting Leno in. I was like, wow, this is positive. I'm happy. You can't base your whole fucking game plan around a bloke who can't kick a ball. It just baffles me. Like, I don't get it. It's like if you're going to play long, at least have a speedy bloke up front to chase that ball down. Don't put fucking the slowest cunt up top because he ain't going to get it. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I think of something else.
It's not even that. It's just the carelessness and selfishness, I think, because as I said, he goes, oh, that ball to KT, I can complete that ball, so I'll do it. But then Tierney's got nothing. And as I said, Tierney should do better. And even if you see nothing on, don't just play a pass into the middle into no one. Like, spank it 60 yards if you have to, and then turn around and tell Leno about himself. But again, it's poor from him. Knocks it into the middle for nothing. I think that was the third goal. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's just poor all around. We was just an absolute shit show for probably a bit longer than half an hour, but give or take 30, 35 minutes. And you could look, if at that point you'd have been able to make 11 changes, I think most of us would have done it.
I was just trying to look at some stats, and I know you're not big on stats on Leno, but, accurate passes 21, 88% completion. Like,
yeah, but I mean, the thing is with a keeper, you're never going to judge. You can't judge a keeper by that because if they're playing 1 yard passes from goal kicked where the opposition aren't allowed in the area and they do that all the time, the numbers are going to be higher. Unfortunately for goalkeepers, and it's the way it is, they're judged on their mistakes, not their successes. Because a mistake is critical when you're a keeper. And they always say that a striker can miss a chance and it's not the end of the world. They'll get another chance. If the keeper makes a big fuck up, 9 times out of 10, it ends up in a goal and the keeper ends up in the headlines. So that's an occupational hazard. And then it's maybe not fair, but it is what it is.
Half time comes around and I'm just thinking there was something else before that.
We scored before half time.
We scored
before half time.
Yeah, but there was one. I was just thinking there was a Lacazette opportunity before that, though, wasn't there? Because I remember
No, you're
going
thinking of the Saka one.
Saka, was it? Yeah, and I thought, fuck. I thought it was
Saka.
Lacazette.
Yeah.
Saka, was it? Yeah.
Saka ran through it on goal. Saka was 1-on-1. And if I remember correctly, what he should have done was place the ball in a corner, but he kind of kicked the ball kind of straight down the middle of Bambianzi. It was, in my opinion, it was actually quite a poor effort on goal. He really should have done better. And I think, look, even an out of form Aubameyang, in my opinion, scores that, and so does Laka or kind of any other of our attacking players. I even would fancy Willian in that situation. I was really quite surprised that Saka missed that. But then again, as a young player, you do miss some chances.
Yeah, you do. I for some reason I thought that was Lacazette, but no, yeah, you're right. It was Saka, and I remember, screaming at the TV, going, "You got to fucking get that! Like, come on, fuck me." But there was we did go up. We got a goal.
So that Saka miss was after the goal, but just because we spoke about it, I'll do that and then go back onto the goal. I thought Saka was really poor. I don't think he was fit. I think they rushed him back. He didn't look sharp. I wouldn't say he looked unfit, but he didn't look sharp, and his sharpness is one of his major things. And also, one thing we always praise him for is he tends to make the right decision at all times, and he just wasn't, and that can be a case of just being a yard off the pace. And I think for that chance, he should have took an extra touch, because Cresswell was, if he ran across Cresswell, and Declan Rice showed it perfectly in the second half. Pepe was chasing him, and he just ran across him, and we all know Pepe is quicker than Declan Rice, but Pepe couldn't do anything. And if Cresswell would have touched him there, he would have been sent off. So that's the first mistake from Saka. And then, the composure. He should have opened his body. I think it's a bit unfair to say he kicked it in the middle of the goal. He went to go back across himself, which for me was the wrong option. He should have opened his body and put it in to his left. But as I said, the whole game for him was a bit ratty. But yeah, that was already at 3-1, and it would have been a case of us scoring 2 in 2 minutes if he scored, and going from looking like going into half-time at 3-0 down to 3-2. So it was a big moment. But yeah, before that, obviously the goal, we just started to put a bit of pressure on them. I think we started to pass the ball through the lines and move it more. I think by that time, Aubameyang and Saka had switched over. and Chambers was they said it in commentary, to be fair, that Chambers was basically had to be a wing back from then on, because if he wanted to get back in the game, we'd need to get people forward. And West Ham, how they defend is they absolutely pack out the width of the area, have 7-8 players in that space, and they say go around the sides, because we've got Souček, who's 87 foot tall. Dawson and Diop are both absolute monsters. Cresswell, he's not the tallest, but he's decent in the air. Soufal's very good in the air. Declan Rice is massive as well. So they go on, put crosses in, and we'll deal with it. And if we don't, then that's our problem. So Chambers obviously crosses not along the deck, but give or take, it was sort of knee to waist height. It's an unreal touch by Lacazette. Great turn and hit, great instinct. Obviously took the deflection, wasn't going in. Deflection took it in, so it goes down as an own goal. But it was another thing that made our team selection look even weirder, because if you're going to play a team that let you get down the side, then I would suggest you'd have your best crosser of a ball in there, and that was not what we done. But yeah, I mean, great take by Lacazette, and it's one of them that's really unlucky in the history books that it doesn't go down as his goal, because he done so much. As I said, the touch was great, and the turn and hit was, I can't say great because it weren't going on, but he done really well.
It was, it was great to get one back before half time, and then we go into the sheds. And I think Arteta really kicked these guys in the arse, because the second half was, I wouldn't say one of the best from Arsenal, but fuck me, you're down 3 goals and you've got one back just before half time. So you're going in, you're thinking, these cunts, West Ham, total credit to them, right? They played a good game of football. The boys went out, and this is where I was proud of us, is this second half. And the miss that I was talking about, I think it was about the 48th minute, Lacazette. Chambers got it into him. You remember that one? It's about the 48th minute. Nobody's saying anything, so maybe they haven't. Can't remember. And it was
no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it was. I'll just. So it was close to Lacazette. Chambers unleashed Lacazette with a superb outside of the foot through ball, and the striker chipped it over him.
See, this is. I know exactly what you mean. This is an interesting one because of what happened to Harry Kane the next day. That's a penalty. I mean, it's absolutely not a penalty. It is 100% not a penalty. But with the way the refs have wanted to interpret the rules recently, I don't understand how it's not a penalty. And also, the defender tried to pull Lacazette down. He should have gone down.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I've written here too. Yeah,
he should have gone down. And then after he lobs Fabianski, the ball's gone. No problem. Great defending by Diop. Lacazette done everything he could. Really unlucky. But after he puts the ball over Fabianski takes him out. Absolutely no problem. Fine. Not a foul. I'm not trying to say we should have had a penalty. But then you see the penalty we got last week, and you see what Harry Kane got, and you're like, well, hang on. Because, I mean, with Harry Kane, which is an absolute disgrace of the decision, I'm fucking furious about it. But all they checked is the ball still in play? Not is it within playing range, is the ball still on the pitch? That was the only thing they checked. Well, when Lacazette lifted it over Fabianski, he couldn't have got to it. He wasn't trying to get to it. He's had a shot. But was the ball still in play? Absolutely. The ball never went off. So
the other thing I wanted to see, Tony, on that one, and look, okay, we watched the replay. It was going in goal had they not have fucking hooked it off. It was so unlucky that it wasn't a goal. But at what point did the VAR go, let's just check that fucking goal line technology that doesn't exist no more, or what?
It's automatic. If it goes in, the watch goes.
Oh, okay. Because I thought, fuck me, there's half a bee's dick in that.
I don't think it was actually that close, to be honest.
Wasn't it? Okay. It looked close, I might tell you.
No, I mean, in terms of ball going over the line, I don't think any of the ball was over the line. I think it was probably a yard away or maybe half a yard, but in football terms, that's massive. But yeah, it's automatic. It's not a VAR thing. The watch goes if it goes in.
Oh, okay, right. No dramas. Okay, Jack, where are we at? We get another goal. This went down as an own goal. I didn't realise that.
The two of them went down as an own goal. The Lacazette one.
The second one in the 61st minute by Odegaard. was it? Oh,
No,
maybe
Chambers
he's
one,
right.
you mean, no?
It was a clear own goal.
Chambers
Oh,
crossing
yeah,
was-
no.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
that's
most
right.
blatant.
Chambers.
It literally, Chambers throws the ball across the box. It bounces off the West Ham centre back's leg into the bottom corner. But look, people will look at it and that's an own goal. But to be fair to Callum Chambers, those are incredibly hard to stop. And I think what Chambers did very well in the game is, look, don't get me wrong, some of his crossing was a shambles. However, one thing he did very well was he kept changing up how he was putting that ball in the box, which meant that their defence had no idea what to expect from him. So, I mean, yeah, I think Chambers did very, very well to put that ball in that position. It was an excellently placed ball. And look, the likelihood of that bouncing off a defender in the back of the net or kind of getting shot by one of our players in the box is very, very high when a ball's drilled across the box. I mean, I know that from my experience playing, obviously not a high level. And I think Chambers did excellent. And I don't think I understand that it is an own goal, but I wish some more credit could go to Callum for the ball that he did put in the box for it.
That's right. It was own goal by Dawson. Can't even read my own fucking right. How bad's that? Going in, Tony. Obviously, there was that got us back, and I could feel that something big was going to happen. I thought, hey, we're on the comeback here. We're now 2-3, but this next kind of 10 minutes, I don't know if you remember, but they had a few chances. They were, I was a little bit worried here at this point because they only had to get that one more goal and, it was kind of game over for us. Yeah. And then what did we get? 82nd minute we got one. Yeah.
To be fair, I thought the second half as a whole was probably the best attacking football we've played under Arteta. But it did come at obviously detriment of we wasn't too defensive minded, and that was the right thing to do. But I felt like sort of pretty much every time they attacked, which was few and far between, but every time they did, it was like a heart in mouth moment, and I felt like we could score every time we went forward. It was a real sort of edge of your seat game because something was always happening. I mean, just in that spell alone, you've mentioned they basically had Chambers basically cleared one off the line. Lingard, if Chambers is not there, Lingard taps it in. And then the Antonio one,
which by Leno, wasn't it? In one of them, there was.
Well, there was also the KT double block.
Yep.
The one that I'm thinking of with the Chambers clearance was a double chance as well. Really, it was a cutback that Chambers cut out, and then it got a bit messy. As I said, there was a double block by KT. There was Antonio when he hit the post. You can't miss that. That should have been the game, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. He hit the post. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an unmissable chance, really. I mean, XG will probably say he only had a 10% chance of scoring it, but I don't give a fuck what XG says. You can't miss that. So, and then look, we had our chances going forward. We was, I don't know, fantastic. Maybe going over the top, but we were picking space in between the lines. We were getting the ball wide, getting good balls in. They were under constant pressure. I mean, they were resorting to just hoofing it at times, which is a compliment, really. It was, as I said, it was real edgy, you see. And there was definitely, at 3-2, there was definitely another goal coming, but I don't think you'd have confidently put money on which side would get it. But then it comes, obviously, I think probably around the 70th, we visibly got tired. It's funny when, I think, who was it first came on? I think it was Smith Rowe.
Well, Smith Rowe came on for Granite, which I was a little bit surprised, but then I see Granite has played every game.
To be honest, Granite, I thought Granite was really poor. I thought he just looked tired from the get-go. And look, the guy plays a lot of minutes. He plays every game and nearly 90 minutes in every game. So it's usable, but I thought he was quite poor. I thought a lot of players were poor, to be honest. But yeah, so they showed on the TV, so they showed Smith Rowe on the touchline, and like me and one of my mates are messaging each other. And he said we were saying, oh, we look a bit tired. I thought it was about 5-10 minutes before that. It's just like the tempo dropped and everything seemed a bit stagnated. And then and I said, oh yeah, I'm surprised it's only one sub because I thought you'd make 2 or 3 then just to try and get some energy back in the team. But it wasn't. Pepe came on at the same time. It was just the way that the TV showed at one time. It was just
okay. Yeah. Because then Pepe came on. I was surprised with Martinelli too. He come on from Aubameyang. But
yeah, I mean that was later on. As I said, we made the double. it was weird with Smith Rowe because obviously he basically was a like for like change for Granit, which was weird. As he came on, you're kind of looking at it and going, "Oh, do you go 2 up top and then get Smith Rowe left and go like Odegaard 10, Smith Rowe left and then 2 up top and then leave Partey on his own," which is what I expected given we're still 3-2 down. But he actually put Smith Rowe in Granit's position, which for me is a bit of a waste. I understand the thinking behind it, but it doesn't use Smith Rowe's talents to the best. But then, yeah, obviously the goal comes. Pepe's ball is class, and as much as everyone, including us, have hammered him for his lack of right foot, the cross, you couldn't ask for any better. And obviously Lacazette nods it in, and it's funny. Like Lacazette had a great game, and I've seen our Lacazette powered his header home. I mean, it was an open goal. He could have dribbled off his head and it was going in. Like,
I'll let the bloke have a minute feeding.
He had Lacazette was like, no, I'm not criticising him. I'm criticising the reporting. Like, our bullet header into the top corner, as opposed to just dribbling in. Like, you know what I mean, it makes it. If you hadn't seen it and you'd seen the headline, you'd be thinking like, fucking header from the edge of the box into the top corner where the keeper's scrambling. But yeah, I mean that's another goal. I think all three of our not the first one. Sorry, the second and third, the crosses have made the goals rather than the finish. But yeah, as I said, them subs were perfect at the right time just to get some energy back in the team. I mean, the reason I'm not including Martinelli in it, I know he came on just before we scored, but I don't think he touched the ball. And it was his sub didn't have the impact on the higher level of energy yet. But it was exactly what we needed. As I said, we were just going a bit flat, and he changed it up. I thought he done really well. I thought he maybe could have done it 5 minutes earlier. Would be, if I'm being hypercritical, the subs maybe could have come 5 minutes earlier. But beyond that,
I might get criticised here because I do every week get phones. So I can't have the whinge at me. You mentioned Partey, and there was a couple of times in that game I thought to myself, this Thomas Partey isn't exactly what I was sold. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like people were talking him up like they do with Lacazette, you know. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. I know I'm waiting for it, but I just haven't. He hasn't wowed me yet. Has he wowed you boys yet?
For me, I mean, he's had good games. Recently, I don't know if he's fully fit, but he's had part of his game has been very good. Like, I thought he was finding the gap between the lines as in play in the pass and splitting the lines really well. But then he was careless with some simple passes. He got beat a few times. I read after the game he made 16 interceptions, and I don't care for stats, as everyone knows, but that's a crazy high number. And maybe just in the madness of the game, you kind of don't appreciate that. And I'm not saying he was good, but he done aspects of the game very well, and then aspects of the game not as good. I mean, you look at, say, United at Old Trafford, and it was a complete performance. He done everything well. He ran the show, and I don't think we've really seen anything like that since. But then he changed the game against Leicester when he came on. He changed the Benfica game when he came on.
I agree. Yeah, he's had a couple of good games, but he hasn't, like, you know what I mean, that wow factor of holy fuck me, like. I haven't seen that from him.
But you're never going to get that. You're never going to get that from a holding midfielder. I think we're trying to make him use the ball too much, to be fair. But as I say, he can do it.
Talking him up when he was at Atletico Madrid, they're like, "Oh, have you seen this Thomas Partey?" Like, I'm like, "No, not really." Like, I don't watch much La Liga, so no, I haven't seen much. That's because
we live with him. Like, look, for me, Kante is probably the best defensive midfielder in the world. You never go, "Wow, look at Kante." Like, you may go, "Oh, wow, look, he's still sprinting in the 95th minute." You may compliment his energy, but no one said, "Wow, look at Kante," because the stuff they do is unglamorous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Biscuits is the same. Like,
there was a
you look at the Barcelona team, huh?
There was a wild shot with Partey there.
Oh, he had about 15.
Yeah, I was like, mate, I don't like that. I don't want that.
Yeah, but they said that type of role is unglamorous. Yeah, I mean, he needs to pick his timing for shots. Some of them, look, you can miss a shot and it can still be the right decision. A couple of them weren't. I don't think he was terrible. I just didn't think he was great. But then, as I said, I think he played alongside a very shit Granit on the day.
I agree with that.
And then you look to either side. I thought Chambers had a good game. I thought KT was terrible. Odegaard was fucking exceptional, which helped. And look, Partey is a huge part to play in that because Odegaard was finding the space between the lines. But if no one can get to the ball to you, you're just an idiot standing with no one around you. So it looks like you're doing nothing. Because Partey, 9 times out of 10, it was Partey was able to find him, that allowed Odegaard to do his work. So I'd imagine it's one of them games. If you said to Odegaard after the game, what do you think of Partey's performance? He'd probably say, I thought he was excellent or I thought he was very good. But for me, as I said, he done certain things well and certain things not very well. That is what it is.
Game finished 3-3, Jack, full time. At this point, I'm fucking applauding the lads and I'm thinking, you know what? A shitty first half. And I'm not riding off West Ham, mate. West Ham are no fucking... They're no pushovers, right, this season. They're playing good football. That shows it on the ladder. If you know, you're led to believe what's on the ladder as well. But at the end of the day, they're thereabouts, and they're we just aren't. We just aren't thereabouts. You know, we've got a long way to go, long time to rebuild this team and put the right players in place. So I thought going into this match, it was going to be a tough match. I see the result 3-3. I think that's pretty fair.
I actually think on the whole we probably deserve the 3 points for how we kind of played off the 30th minute or so. I actually think we were very unlucky not to come away with win. Then I was quite upset that we didn't. I was very proud that we fought back to 3-3, and I really do want to emphasise on that because I don't want to seem like I'm not at all, because in any sporting arena or any kind of situation in life to kind of come back from that sort of deficit is ridiculous. Moving forward, I don't actually, and this is quite controversial, but I don't think we're too far off what could be an excellent squad. I really do think we're actually now only a handful of songs away potentially from having a perfect balance.
We've got to put City and Liverpool. City and Liverpool. Where are we from them, do you think?
Yeah, I know. They've got big rebuilding jobs to do themselves as well over the next few years. City have a lot of their players who've kind of been there for years leaving. So obviously their progression after the season will be very much based on how their recruitment goes. If we're gonna be honest, I mean, I understand that it sounds very kind of rainbow fucking painted, like rose tinted glasses, but it's not. Like, I look at a situation over the course of the season, I don't actually think we've been as bad as people have made out. I think there have been a lot of situations where we have been robbed. Don't get me wrong, isn't always an excuse nor other things. However, if you are to add up the points, if decisions should have gone the way that they should have done, that's including with apologies from Pogba, then this doesn't. We're looking much like a top 4 side, and that's in this season when it's been so shit and we've made so many errors. I mean, if you cast ourselves back to, for example, Wolves, Villa, if those 2 games go away and VAR does the job, we're 3 points off top 4. And I could think of at least 6 or 7 other games where we've been fucked up.
Yeah, I
and
get
the way
where
I look at it is, we need it. In my opinion, we need to sign Ryan. We need to sign a few players in different areas on the pitch. We have to sign Odegaard on a permanent. And I love Emil. I think they're different players completely. I think they're both absolutely fantastic. But I think the one thing we need the most, and I think, is a striker. Unless Martinelli can do a job because obviously he's being transitioned there at the moment, as what we can also on Twitter. I think if we can, I think the one area in my opinion, we've been the most unreliable this season in front of goal. And I think if we can sign someone or even someone off the bench who's that bit more clinical, I think we would look a real side. And I really mean that. And I also think fans coming back will play a big part. So a lot of games where, and if you look at these mistakes that the players are making, there is also a very clear argument made that do those happen with fans at the stadium? Because fans make the players feel more accountable because they know that what they do is going to kind of affect the emotions. Obviously millions, but if 60,000 of them are in front of you, that plays on your mind. And I think even when we started games slowly, those situations, in my opinion, don't happen with fans because the fans give that extra kind of 10% of a lift anyways, if you see what I'm saying. So I think on the whole, once you take into account kind of what this season has been, I really do think we are not too far away from something really special, and I really do think that is the future of this club. I get what you're saying, but yeah, if I'm being honest, I'm positive looking forward.
Yep. No, fair call. Tony Sam said, interesting to know if Odegaard is changing Tony's mind about his increasing influence in the team. She weren't really an Odegaard fan.
Look, this is getting confused. Not Sam's. Sam's comment isn't confused. Sam's comment is actually right. You're getting confused. It wasn't that I wasn't a fan. He's technically fucking brilliant, which is last week. My problem is that he doesn't do any, or he hadn't done anything with it. I asked Addy last week, who was waxing lyrical about him, name 2 chances he's created since he's been here, and he couldn't. So that was my problem. That for me, there's no point being technically fantastic if you create absolutely nothing when your job is to be a creator. But on Sunday, he was insane. Like that, the level was absolutely crazy. He was creating chances left, right, and centre. He was basically playing on his own for a lot of the time. Everything went through him. I can't. Look, if we saw that, if we'd have seen that in week 1, I would have no criticism at all. The thing is, it's now, what's he been here? 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and that's the first time we've seen it. And if that is his level and he's just warming to the club, how can I criticize? I couldn't criticize. He was incredible, but that's the first time we've seen it, and it just remains to be seen for me if that was the fluke, as in he just had a good game and that's not his usual level and that's not what he usually does, or if he's just now only warming to the team and the league and understanding how the other players move and work. But am I warming to him or his influence? Look, I don't think anyone can watch that game, even if you hated him, which I didn't and don't. But even if you hated him, I don't think you can watch that game and go, oh, he had no influence. He was the influence. So in answer to Sam's question, I'm warming to that performance, and warm. I'm beyond hot. Like warm's gone. Warm is in the rearview mirror to that performance. And if he can play, obviously not to that level every week, because you can't play to that level every week. But if he can have that sort of influence every week, then I'll have no criticism. My worry with him is that them performances don't do us any favors, because we were speaking about fees last week, and obviously I said 40 million was being rumored, and I hadn't seen a 40 million pound footballer in him up until like that point when we was talking. But the West Ham game, he was worth a lot more than 40 million. That, if he's that level. So it's an interesting one. And look, I never write a player off after 5 games, and I'm not also going to do the opposite and tell they're the world's best player after 5 games. But if he's at that level, then there's no one on earth that could watch that and go, oh, we don't want him. As I said, the issue is if he's at that level, the money would be stupid, because that player that we saw on Sunday gets in any team on earth, and I'm including Man City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, like name any team. The player we saw on Sunday gets in it.
Now you've said all that, I want you 3-2-1.
Oh, he pisses it. Sky Sports gave it to Chambers, which was an absolute joke. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Chambers was bad, but I said, I was saying it in the group chat, that I thought Chambers started off really badly, and then his influence grew towards the end of the game. And Jack said earlier he had a few wayward crosses. I didn't think he did. I thought his crossing was on point. But had the game been flipped in reverse, as in he had his second half in the first half, no one would be talking about him. But because he finished the game strong, that's sort of in the memory. But so for me, Odegaard by an absolute mile, no one's even in the conversation with him. Then Lacazette too. I thought Lacazette was good. Not only his goal, and then obviously unlucky not to get credited with the other goal, but his link up was very good. I mean, the chance we talk about with Saka was a Lacazette spanning in behind the first time through ball. His link up, he dropped deep. He found the space in the 10, which also made Odegaard's job a lot easier, because there wasn't just one man in the 10. Because Lacazette was flicking between occupying the centre backs and then coming into the hole, which means they didn't know if they went and marked Odegaard, then Lacazette was free. If they went and marked Lacazette, then there was a space in behind, or Odegaard was free. The combination worked really well. But I thought Lacazette's all-round game was very good. I couldn't really criticise him, and it'd be, I think most weeks he'd get the 3 with that level of performance, but Odegaard was that good. And I'm going to go Chambers for 1. I thought he was good. He was a key part in us getting back in the game. I just don't think he was as good as the media and everyone has gone on about.
I usually wait do my 3-2-1, but I'm all in agreement with you. Odegaard, Lacazette, and Chambers for me. I can't even think of any other player. But Jack, you may do, mate. What do you got?
Odegaard has to get the 3 to start with. I would give my 2 probably also to Laka, because I wouldn't even count the first goal as an own goal. I mean, I get this, but to me, I thought he's excellent. And yeah, Chambers would get the 1 because he got 2 assists.
Very hard, isn't it? You look at other players and, like, I'll just rattle off a couple. Saka, we discussed that. Aubameyang, very funny for me. I don't know whether it's that position. I spoke to you boys in the Telegram chat and I asked what Aubameyang was like after come back from his little suspension after the North London derby, and the boys said that he wasn't really into it. So, and I heard a lot of that happening on social media as well, that Aubameyang just wasn't into it, and I don't know if it was this game as well where he just, I don't know what's going on with him. He just doesn't seem. He seems happy enough, like, he celebrated with Lacazette and he was all smiles, but maybe just going for a bad patch of form. I don't know. Granite.
Thursday. Yeah. Sorry, I know you're going to go on about this. Thursday was really annoying because Aubameyang was seen as bad because he missed chances, which is obviously not what you expect or want from him. But for me, that's the type of Aubameyang we want to see. I want to see him in between the width of the post, scratching around in the area. Like if you look at our second goal, their second own goal, Chambers' ball was actually to Aubameyang, and Dawson had to cut it out. Otherwise, Aubameyang gets a tap in. Like that's it. Get him in between the posts.
I don't mind that. Yeah.
But that's where he needs to be. This on the left, on the right. It's nonsense.
Work. No, it doesn't work.
No, the thing, the problem with Olympiacos, it set us back because he played there. He done really well, but he missed 2 or 3 chances, and that's all you see. But the issue is that's exactly where he should be. Obviously, you don't want him missing the chances, but now he's done that. People are going, "Oh, he wasn't interested." Blah blah blah. He puts them exact same chances in, and people says he has a great game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm hearing you, and I heard. I was only going off what I read on the social media. But we're going, "Oh fuck, he missed heaps of chances. His head was down. He wasn't into it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I can't judge because, like I said, I didn't catch the game, but. Granite from, but this game as well, I think it may have just been a positional thing. He don't work on the left and right for me. I think Aubameyang has to play up top, but then again, we're giving Lacazette our 2 points, so it's so fucking hard, Like, I don't know. It's probably a good headache to have, I guess. Granite, yeah, I agree, wasn't really into it. Party for me, yeah, had some good stuff, but goes unnoticed, and them shots are just, please feed them balls through to Aubameyang, feed them balls through to Lacazette. I don't, I don't mind you having a shot, but when they're fucking like that, like, nah, you're hitting 0 out of 15. Give up. Tierney, yeah, worst game I had. Pablo, boys, we didn't discuss any of Pablo. I don't think he did anything really wrong apart from. Was he involved in that the first goal? Yeah. Other than that, David Luiz as well. Like, they just didn't have a good. It wasn't their. You know what I mean? Just wasn't really their day. Like, they weren't bad, but they weren't brilliant. Chambers was good. I agree in the second half. Leno was fucking Leno. I don't know. Any you got add on that, boys? Before we move on to some questions.
No, I just want to say quickly that Sam's just said it wasn't a criticism. Tony provides excellent Arsenal analysis. I agree with you there. So I was just interested in my view of the performance. I knew it wasn't a criticism. I knew exactly what you meant. So yeah, keep asking the questions. It was a genuine question. I don't take it to heart. Even when people hammer me, I don't take it to heart. What was it? Someone signed up last week to say I was a prick or something, and then And then it's funny.
That was fucking gold. Okay, let's play this. We'll be back with some questions.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Thank you, Louis. Boys are doing well there at Gunners.com. Okay, Golson Fan, he says, should we be doing... Someone's having a bag of chips.
Yeah, I thought I was still on mute. Sorry, I went to grab a bag. From the
Oh, that real professional this is. Golson Fan says, should we be doing better from long distance shots? Should Aubameyang go this summer? He looks fucked. How much should we get for him? Tony, it's a loaded question.
Yeah, I mean, on long shots, I don't know what the average is, and I don't know how we're faring towards it. I think no one scores many, so
I think Party really stuck out for a few boys this week.
Yeah, but I mean, he had a couple of long shots and they didn't go in. My issue is I don't expect people to score from there. How many long shots does a team score in a season? Probably 4 or 5. So just because there's a game where someone has a couple and they don't go in, that's normal. That's what should happen. So just every time.
Look good back on the highlights.
No, but did you know this is the problem with Arsenal fans? This is the problem with Arsenal fans, and it pisses me off more so when I'm at games, but exactly the same on social media. Oh, we don't shoot enough from outside the box. You hear it all the time. Oh, we try and walk it in. Oh, bullshit. We get to the byline and cut it back. Nonsense. Have a go. Suddenly someone has a go from 30 yards and it doesn't go in. Fuck's sake. Why are they shooting from 30 yards? We never fucking score. Make your fucking mind up. If you want us to shoot, like it's not a penalty. So if you want us to shoot, don't expect 90% to go in. Expect 2% to go in, which is probably the league's average. I'm probably being generous in saying 2%. Or shut the fuck up and stop moaning about us not shooting. Like you can't. People want us to have long shots every game, but they also want them all to go in. Like they're not penalties. It winds me up. You get it more at games where people go shoot and then it doesn't go in because they shouldn't have shot in the first place, and they go, oh, for fuck's sake. No, not for fuck's sake. If you want them to shoot, except they're not going to go in most of the time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Everything there. Just it was for me. It was Party was just a bit of a stick out. I'm not saying I don't want him to shoot. I'm happy for him to shoot, but when there's other options on the field, I think, oh shit, you probably could have took that other option. That's where I'm kind of coming from.
I get that, yeah. But then in future we can't go, oh, we never shoot because we're now moaning about them shooting, which is what happens. Yeah. Like, it just does my head in. But on the Aubameyang thing, no, he didn't look great. But I touched when we started on this game. As I said, West Ham blocked the centre and let you go on the outside. Well, he's not a winger. Even when he's playing wide, he doesn't play as a winger. He doesn't run at his man and beat him. He's not Pepe.
He's not a winger. No. He shouldn't be playing on a winger. Yeah.
So it's not even on the wing because you can understand if he's coming in and he's joining into the middle and he's getting chances at the back post. But the way West Ham play, you don't really get the space for that unless there's turnover ball. So for me, look, you don't sell him this summer. You'd be crazy to, and you wouldn't get much for him because he's on a stupid contract. In terms of not stupid, he's on a lot of money. And he's had probably the worst season he's had in about 8 years. So his value is probably its lowest. But I think you'd be crazy to looking at selling him.
I popped in the Telegram.
It's funny though. Do you know what I mean? Look, everyone's been on Lacazette's back for a long time now. He's had a few good games, and suddenly should we sell Aubameyang?
Should we sell Aubameyang? Yeah, I know.
Our fan base is actually mental. Like there's actually problems. There is.
Well, actually,
our fan base are unwell.
I jumped into the Telegram chat the other day, and look, sometimes it's very hard to try and find out what's going on if you haven't been reading above. But there was a comment made, and the only player I could think is the Dortmund striker Haaland. Is somebody? I'm sure somebody said, "Sell Aubameyang." Give him Aubameyang and 100 million or something. Was that the player they were talking about?
It was Lacazette, they said.
Lacazette.
Not
okay.
Aubameyang. But
no, sorry, not Lacazette. Yeah, Aubameyang. Lacazette, sorry. I'm mixed up.
Yeah, but again, our fan base are unwell. Like, what are you talking about Haaland for? He's the best. He's the best striker in the world probably at the moment.
He's not.
We're ninth with no money. Like, shut up. Like, just to be fair.
It's literally, it is literally like saying, like, that's
Come
like,
on.
it's literally like, it's never gonna happen, for fuck's sake. It's literally like, hypothetically speaking, if any of us turned around and was like, oh yeah, I'd love to shag Rihanna, it's never gonna fucking happen, is it?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like Haaland's ending up at one of 3 clubs, and everyone knows who those 3 clubs are, and it's definitely fucking not us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Never.
But it's funny. Like, don't get me wrong, it'd be great to have him and Lacazette to go, but yeah, now I don't know. I do get mixed up with our fan base at times. Like,
they're unwell. It's an unwell group of people.
MAA Gunner,
Well,
here's a good question. Jack, I don't know, man, your microphone, maybe it's just me. I only get every second word you getting, bud.
Tony,
are you Tony?
It's the delay, so you just talk at the same time as someone else, and then I can't hear it. Like, it's just muffled between the two. Happens with me as well. I think it's just.
I don't mean to come across
no, it's the delay.
It's the delay. Come across way because I'm actually on my end. It's completely quiet when I start speaking. I'm making a conscious effort.
Go on, Tez. Just go on with the next question.
Oh, sorry. I was just waiting for you to catch up. Australian internet's just that little bit better. Why did we reject a bid for Eddie, Tony, and now we play him in the under-23s? It was a $20 million bid, wasn't it?
I don't know if it ever actually happened. And you look at our squad at the time, Gabby wasn't back. We had Aubameyang and Laka. Aubameyang was spending a lot of time on the left at the time. He's only sort of been playing central more recently. Maybe the Leeds game was the first time we'd seen him central in a long time. So that if you count him at that time, you count Gabby as not really fit, you count Aubameyang as someone who's going to play on the left, then your option was Laka. So you have to have bodies there. Look, I don't rate Eddie. I think he's terrible. I think he's gone this summer, but we would have everyone would have been hammering Arteta or the club if they let him go and then didn't sign anyone, which they never were going to do in January. And then Lacazette pulls his hammy and we end up with fucking Willian up front. And because again, you got to remember at the time Willian wasn't playing well, so he wasn't an option on the left. Pepe wasn't playing too well, so you kind of looked at we've got Aubameyang and Saka, and then no one else really. So then you can't start getting rid of all this depth. And also, they've done a lot of fucking business in January, and it's not easy. Like, I know, and I'm not trying to be like I know more than everyone else because I don't, but on computer games, you click a button and you can sell a player. You go through a January window and you can sell 8 players and buy 6. That's not the reality. And in January, we got some complex deals done in terms of, okay, getting Matt Ryan in was easy. Odegaard, we had some competition. But the outgoings, Mustafi, Kolasinac, Ozil, Socrates, it's not easy deals and they cost a lot of money. I mean, it's just... It's funny, though, because...
Was he the one? Was he the player that we forgot about, though? Was that the problem? With Eddie, like, it almost seemed... We're talking about Eddie, and he's now playing for under 23s. And the question was, why did we reject the bid? Like, because
we didn't have a squad. At that time, the striking options it looks like we've got now, we didn't have. So
they wanted it. You think it was just a matter of
the numbers?
Yeah, okay.
Look, and it's mad because when Eddie was playing, people going mad. He shouldn't be anywhere near the team. Same happens with Reece as well. I don't rate Reece. I think he's terrible. But when he's in the team, people go, oh, for fuck's sake, we're playing these youngsters, blah, blah, blah. Now he's not getting in the squad. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, Arteta's not using the youngsters. Our fan base are unwell. That's the only conclusion. I keep coming back to it. Our fan base are not normal.
Jack, any to add on that, buddy?
I wouldn't say the fan base are unwell. I'd just say that there's a lot of fucking sheep. And look, there's nothing wrong with the with fans who don't necessarily attend games, but there's this breed of just Twitter scum that think they know football because they believe like twats like who are like just twats on social media who talk about Arsenal kind of take their opinion as fact. Yeah, it is what it is. I just think that people always would try and find an alternative, and there's so much micromanagement that happens within the fan base, and people, I do find on the whole, do need to kind of get a reality and start watching the game and developing their own opinions rather than, for example, taking the opinions of a coke addict who's sharing his irate opinions online.
Apparently, it was my microphone, Jack. You wouldn't believe it. I changed microphones, mate. Now you're coming through like 4K audio. What fuck? Saka is an amazing young player, but at the moment, would you be playing Pepe instead of or in addition to Saka, Jack?
Look, there's two arguments. If you're talking from you want to win every game, you want to play your best players, and I get that, and that would make sense for Saka to be starting. But I think he's been massively overplayed this season, and I don't want another Wilshere situation. So I actually wouldn't mind seeing some rotation between the two in that regard. But so yeah, I definitely would.
What else we got here? I don't know. Rowan says, yeah, Tony. Our fan base are the worst. MWA Gunner, did we miss Willian in or last two games, Tony?
I'm not sure on the West Ham game because it's the type of game that Arteta likes him in. But as I say, I thought KT was that poor. Just again looked tired, didn't get up and down. We didn't see the usual energy from him. I don't think we saw any overlaps, any crosses into the box, which is what has become the norm for him. So then, if Willian's not got that support, I think absolutely any of our players that played on the left would have looked bad on Sunday. And it's noticeable for us, right? Because we're a team that people will go, they mainly tackle down the left. That's the main threat. And absolutely nothing in the whole game we done was down the left. There's not any of the chances we've spoke about came down the left. There's half an argument for the one where Laka lobbed it over Fabianski, but again, that was Callum Chambers walking into the middle of the pitch. So it says the right back coming from more central. We done nothing down the left hand side. So I don't think any player, which is another reason why I think Aubameyang is being a bit harshly treated from Sunday, because he wasn't good. I'm not trying to say he was, but the whole left hand side was shit, and it was shit when Saka was there. It was shit when Aubameyang was there. I don't know. Gabby didn't do anything, and again, that's not me saying Gabby's bad. He was on the pitch for 10 minutes. What do you expect him to do? But no one on that left side done anything, and that, as I said, that's including KT. Granit was bad as well, which doesn't help because he's the one that usually picks out any runners on the left, and he didn't have a good game. So I just think that whole side of the pitch was shit, no matter who was there, and that was that. Against Olympiacos, did we miss Willian? I don't know. We just missed chances. I actually don't think we were terrible. We was a bit flat at times, but we missed too many chances. And again, you think of at least two sitters that are normal Aubameyang scores, and we win that game 2-0, and one of them was at 0-0 as well. And if you go 1-0 up, Olympiacos think, fuck this, I'm going on holiday, and they don't try, and then you win the game comfortably, and no one cares about it. So, again, I'm not saying we were good, but I didn't think we were too bad on Thursday. We just didn't take our chances. And look, that in itself is a problem. You have to take your chances. But that game could have been so different.
Michael, he asked an interesting question. Do you think the last 15 years, Jack, would have been any different had we won the Champions League final in Paris, or were the club destined for a difficult period as results of the stadium move?
I'm really glad you put that question to me. I'm very opinionated about this whole thing, and I know what he's referring to in a sub kind of pretext is that whole Gazidis point that we're going to be competing with the likes of Bayern, Real, etc. Do I think winning the Champions League in 2006 would have? No, I don't think it would have changed much. The money in the game was nowhere near what it is now back then, so it's not as if winning it would have been that significant from a financial standpoint, because obviously all the TV deals and all the prize money, etc., has risen exponentially in the last 15 years. However, I do just want to say this because a lot of fans do have this misconception, and it's always used as the argument. When we agreed to move to the Emirates, when we started building the stadium, the biggest revenue a club would take in was from ticket sales. In the time it took to build the stadium, when through those years was obviously when Abramovich acquired Chelsea and everything like turned on its head. So what was the biggest revenue the club would take in dropped to like literally the 6th or 7th when you take in the rises of TV money, revenue, sponsorship deals. There's so many factors. And I honestly just think we were incredibly unlucky, because at the time there was no reason to no one would have known kind of the path football was about to take. Like, people thought it was a big business then, but I mean, it's like looking at Bitcoin today. People thought that Bitcoin was doing amazingly when it was maybe 5, 10, 15,000 US dollars. Now it's nearly 60. And that's risen in the last 4 or 5 months. The point is that no one could have foreseen kind of what was going to change in that regard. I don't think winning the Champions League would have changed anything from 2006. The only thing it might have done is maybe we would have kept maybe Thierry for an extra year or so. But then there's nothing to say that we'd win the league if we would have kept certain players that left after Barca.
Tony, any add on that, buddy?
No, to be fair, when you asked the question, I thought I'm probably going to disagree with everyone here because they're going to go, "Oh, if we'd have won it, we'd have had this, that, and the other." I pretty much completely agree with what Jack said. I mean, it might have added, I don't know how much revenue, which, I mean, Omri wanted out anyway, but it might have sped up the process a little bit. So, what did we sign Ozil 2013? When we started spending money again, and maybe that might have happened in 2012 or 2011. But in the grand scheme of things, no, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have done anything. And the issue, and as I said, even if we'd have started spending that money a bit earlier, it still would have given the Chelsea and the Cities that however many year head start. It's also worth remembering that City got given a stadium when they were broke. So in their broke phase, and they never would have got brought over if they never. But in their broke phase, they got given a ground. In our best phase, we had to spend, I think came to 600 million in the end. And I mean, do you know? Sorry, I don't want to go on too much, but if you look at the record transfer fee at that time, it was. I mean, I don't know what it was, but
I think it was. Sorry to interrupt. I think it was Zidane at about 37 million or something.
Yeah, I would have guessed. I think Zidane was closer to 50, but whatever it was, I mean, you go 10 to 12 times the cost of that stadium would have been the most expensive player in the world. And you look a few years on, well, say 10 years on, and Neymar goes for 200 million. So it shows how football's evolved as a whole. When the best player in the world you could have brought 10 or 12 times with the cost of the stadium has changed to you could have got him 3 times.
And I think, look, every club is destined to go through a difficult period regardless. Like, I'm not putting that down to the stadium move. Like the last 10 years of Wenger, it was, 3 FA Cups?
But they were all after we started spending money again. He wasn't spending at the rate of everyone else. Look, I mean, football does go in cycles. What's difficult now is teams like City, who a bad cycle for them is a year winning nothing or only winning the Carabao Cup because they can throw money at their problems. And look,
they're so far in advance at the moment, aren't they, City?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this isn't meant to dig them out, but it's when they're not advanced to everyone else, they throw money at the problem. Which, when you've got that,
we can't do.
Exactly.
But
you look at United, who are traditionally the richest club in terms of from what they're making, as in not from owner investment, and they've been way off the pace for a long, long time. I mean, even they've come second, and they're probably going to come second this year, but they're a million miles off the pace. They're nowhere near. So it just shows that everyone's going to have these times. Everyone's going to have these cycles, and unless you can throw stupid money at it. And look, no one's going to say United haven't spent. United has spent a hell of a lot. But they can't just go and buy the world's best players all the time or the world's best squad. I mean, and they've probably not spent the best. Pogba, 100 million was not a great deal. Maguire's not worth 80 million as long as he's got a hole in his arse. They overspent on Lukaku.
Look, we know about United. We know about us as well. But as a good blueprint, you have to kind of applaud Liverpool, because even though they have spent, they've also sold on what they've invested. Like, I think where it was the year he got to the final of the Champions League was the first time round. I think it was something like Klopp. He might have bought in $150 million of players, but he also offloaded very similar. So balanced the book.
I mean, they sold Coutinho, but this has been Arsenal's biggest problem when money started going crazy. When we started having our contract problems. So money started going crazy. We should have been able to sell Cesc for a fortune, Nasri for a fortune, Van Persie for a fortune, Adebayor for a fortune with their levels of performance at that time.
Ramsey.
No, Ramsey was a lot more recent. I'm talking way when money first started going wild, and all of them players we lost on for probably not even half of what we should have got. I mean, Van Persie, I think, got 32 goals a year. We sold him when we got 25 million. It's an absolute joke. Easy a £50 million player at that time. Fabregas was always a £50 million player. We got 25. I think Nasri we got 20 to 30, and he was, I think, in the PFA Team of the Year or nominated for Player of the Year. Who was the other one I mentioned? Adebayor had come off 2 strong seasons and then threw his toys out the pram. But again, it was because he had a short contract. All of these, that hurt us more than anything else. That in the time where money was going mad, our assets were diminished by poor contracts, really.
Well, it continued on though, Tony. You could even throw Sanchez and Ozil in that basket, because it got to a point where they demanded what the money they wanted, and you need me more than I need you, kind of thing. And
yeah, of course, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it ended with them players I just listed, but that was where the big problem started. Is the football world's going mad with money? Everyone's throwing huge money everywhere. I mean, what is our record sale still? Ox, I think.
I was going to say, I think Ox is in record sale.
No, we
what did he go for?
No, we got more. We got more for Ox. He was 40.
I think we got 40 for Iwobi as well.
No, it was 28 and rising, 35 at the max. But
good deals.
Yeah, look, again, they're both good deals for that. They're them players. But as I said, so the football world's going crazy, and it shows it's going crazy because we've been able to sell average to good players for good money. But then we've lost out on our high ticket players, and then it also comes with age as well. I mean, we were never going to get a big. The Alexis one's annoying because we had a £55 million offer in the summer, and we rejected it because we couldn't get a replacement. And then Ozil, there was always rumours of offers. I don't know how true they are, but age just comes into it. Aubameyang now is going to be the same thing, that we're never going to get any money for him, and you've just got to hope he pays that value on the pitch. We've got some good points coming through now that if we do need to sell, Gabby, Saka, KT, off the top of my head,
we need a change. We need a change. And it's been in a bit of a slump for so many years. You could even throw in last window. Okay, it's good to get Socrates, Mustafi off the books, but you know what? I wouldn't mind a few dollars the summer before or the summer before that. It just seems like we just hold on that year too long.
It depends. For me, every player is different. Yeah, every player is different. I think with Mustafi and Socrates and Kolasinac, it wasn't the case. Every deal is different. Our worry now is I think we've actually got ourselves in a good position to not really suffer too much from that again. I think Laka's going to be the last of them problems. And to be honest, if he goes for free in another year, I don't think anyone really gives a shit anyway, unless he has a great year next season. But I think now we've got away from that problem. The issue is, and I hope I'm wrong, because of COVID, now that the transfer market, there's a chance it could reverse. I'm not saying completely reverse, but the fees become less. So we've now got ourselves in a position where if we do have to sell, we should rightly get big money for Saka, KT, Martinelli, Emil, and probably a couple of others who I'm forgetting. But we could be really unlucky that the market looks like it probably will reverse a bit. So we're back in the time where you're not getting too much money for players again. So
I think that depends on, where I think that depends on is Dortmund. If Dortmund start offloading players a couple of their big players for 150, 100, we're in that big bracket. I think you're not going to see a change of back because these, it's two big players there that are what 250 million pounds.
Yeah, so, the issue is though, it depends how they do it, and it's not only them because there's only
he's got a clause the next year of 42 million, I think it is, or 62 million. He's got a clause in his contract.
He'll go if that clause is true, and there'll be so many sub clauses in it that it's probably not. But even if it is, he'll go this summer if that's the case.
He has to. That's what I mean. Yeah, he has to go this summer.
But the issue with them offloading players, and it's not just them, is there's only 5 clubs that can afford £100 million player now. Probably 5, 6 of them. So you look at if Haaland goes, if Mbappe goes, which looks likely.
Yep.
Then there's 2 of them clubs, because they can only go to 5 clubs. So 2 of them clubs have now spent their 100 million this summer. So now you've only got 3 clubs left. And it's like, okay, now transfer fees could deflate because the big boys aren't in the market.
Yeah, maybe. But if you look at if Manchester United, look, hypothetically, they think they're going to get at least one of them players, right? Let's say they do. That's kind of got to put your Arsenal, Chelsea, not so much Tottenham, Liverpool on notice.
Yeah, but what can they do? You can put it on notice. Like the neighbour I'm jealous of can go and spend £1 million on a house. Don't mean I can do it. I can't afford it. I'll notice them going and living in a mansion. But
have you ever heard the term keeping up with the Joneses?
It don't matter. If you haven't got the money, you haven't got the money. If my next door neighbour spends £1 million, it's not. It's business. You don't go down the back of your sofa and find 100 million. It's not.
If you want to, in my opinion, if you look at it, I think if I'm going to drop a crystal ball here, if we're going to go based on that reference, I think what we're going to see is, I think the summer is going to be a mixture of either very deals the same size but very heavily installment based. So, for example, let's say there's a £100 million deal. I can see a situation where the base could drop to somewhere even like 60, 70, but have bigger installments. I think a lot of clubs out of the UK because of coronavirus and the financial financially so substantially that it's only really the English clubs that kind of have any money. So I can see a situation where a lot of players are going on the cheap. So, for example, I reckon if this was a normal window, someone like Odegaard would cost us 60 odd million, whereas the reported number is 35 to 40. And then on top of that, you've also got the situation where I just think it's going to be very base dependent on where the players are, because a lot of clubs can't afford certain deals. However, with what Tazzy was saying before about United tend to spend money kind of just chucking a shit ton of money with a very, very high wage packet, hoping the player works out. And after I can probably give 10 examples of them doing it in the last 5-6 years, they finally got one that worked with Fernandes. But the whole point about saying that should we all keep an eye, it's a bit like, and I know this is a bit of a silly reference, but if you look at the Borat movie, I'm not sure, Taz, if you've seen it, I presume Tony has. There's a scene when he's talking about his neighbour, and he goes, and I'm going to try and do the accent just for point's sake, but he goes, he's basically saying that my neighbour, must buy a deck, I must buy a deck. I buy VCR, he must buy VCR. And then he says he's got something else, and he's like, well, he can't afford it, high five, like taking the piss. Because the point is there shouldn't be a competition. Football isn't about chucking money. In my opinion, it's about how you develop players. And I don't think you need to spend anything like that to kind of get to that level. I mean, if you look at the players we've been rumoured with, Edouard, who's a great striker, would cost us probably in the 20s. Ivan Toney, who is fucking incredible, I reckon cost us max 35. That's not 60, 70 million for a striker. But then again, people may turn their nose up because they're not big names. But if Lacazette was to go, those are probably realistically the 2 names which I would expect to see being the hottest names linked with us in the press. Do you see what I'm saying? And
I get where you're coming from. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and look, you look back at the last couple of windows as well. That we say it all the time, Arsenal don't have money, but yet one year they went out and bought a Pepe for 72 million. They got a release clause of 45 million for Partey on deadline day. Like, I don't believe the fact that we have no money, because our last three or four windows, we've broke our transfer record. Like, if we've got no money, then why do we continue to be throwing $72 million for Pepe? Not saying that's a lot of money. Come on. For someone who's got no money, that's a fucking lot of money.
But money is comparative. No money is comparative to City dropping 60 million.
Oh, no,
okay,
no,
they spent less, but they brought six players.
We wouldn't compete with them.
Tottenham built a £1 billion stadium and outspent us in the same summer.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
No money is comparative. You can't go, they spent 70. It's not no money. I mean, look, as I said, there's only a few clubs that can afford them big transfers, especially now. And this summer is going to be led by Mbappe. If Mbappe goes Real Madrid, then PSG probably go for Messi, which then rules them out. Haaland probably goes to Man City. Then that gives us a chance of getting Odegaard because because Real Madrid have spent the money on Mbappe. So like there's a merry-go-round that you can see happening already. There's only a few clubs that can afford them big players, which then makes the second tier of players, which I put Odegaard in, available or not. If Real Madrid don't get Mbappe, they probably don't sell Odegaard because they don't need the money. And Barcelona will need to buy someone because Messi is presumably going to go. If Haaland doesn't go to Man City and goes to Barcelona, then that changes things. The rumour today in England is that Man City are looking at Danny Ings, and that's worrying for me because he would be my first choice. Relatively, of course, Haaland would be my first choice and whatnot. But relatively, Danny Ings is the perfect bit of business. But City have him as second option, and he's known about that for a while. For me, that's great business. Free, okay, his wages would probably be slightly higher, but you're getting a guy that scores 20 Premier League goals every season in a shit team, really, comparatively, on a free. So even if you pay him 150 grand a week, which is a lot for Danny Ings, when you factor in no fee and a proven goal scorer and can link play, is quick, can finish, for me, he would be an absolute no-brainer.
Sam says, I did have it here a minute ago. He's obviously obvious comment, but you live and die by the quality of recruitment. The question is, are we now confident in the quality of recruitment to suggest we can compete again in the top?
Can I take this one? 100%. If you look on the whole over the last kind of 2 or so years since Edu's been at the helm, I kind of, if I'm being honest, bar Willian, who has looked a lot, I mean, not great, but still a lot better recently, there isn't one signing that I can look at. And actually, no, Runnison, but that's allegedly based on the keeper coach. But on the whole, we've been excellent. I mean, Mari.
I was going to say,
Mari seems like a great signing. Cedric,
who's he got? Cedric, yeah.
Cedric, Mari. He signed Martinelli, Saka, Aubameyang to new contracts. We then signed Gabriel Magalhaes, Partey, Ryan, and I'm trying to think if I'm missing anyone out. But on the whole, I think our recruitment's been fucking brilliant, if I'm being honest. And also, think about how much we got Cedric for. Was probably what, a £3 million loan fee. Mari cost £6 million. We haven't necessarily spent big money on these players, but these players are having major impact. I mean, whether or not...
Yeah, but Jack, I hear where you're coming from, but then I look at the table and it doesn't reflect on the recruitment that we have signed. Like, I look at us on the table, I think we're still a 9th, 10th team. We're a mid-table team. These are great signings, but at the end of the day, they're just not getting the job done.
I really disagree. I mean, I understand that.
How can you disagree with the latter?
Because hear me out. If you look face value, yes, the table does suggest that. However, there are so many mitigating circumstances which are so valid in how this season has kind of developed, on the sense that obviously no one's had a pre-season. There are so many factors, in my opinion, that show it. And I think that what we really need, if you look at the season, is we're very clearly capable, let's say for 70, 80 minutes of a game, playing well and playing the way Arteta wants, but we keep having these little kind of errors. But when you're playing as many games as we are, we're only really having 2 or 3 training sessions a week, if that. And in those training sessions, you're having to prepare for the next game. There's no
so
time
we
to
look
kind
at
of
our crystal ball for next season.
And
we look at our crystal ball for next season, and we're 9th and 10th on the ladder at this time next season. Are we blaming something else again, or are we just saying no? Fuck.
It largely depends on the nature of the summer transfer window, and that's not just from an Arsenal viewpoint. It depends along how willing clubs are to get rid of players, because there is also going to be the element where foreign clubs are going to be reluctant to offload because they know it's going to be a bigger struggle to bring players in. Next season, though, if we're in this position, then serious questions have to come on the manager. However, there are still so many positives. And as I said before...
there's lots of positives. I'm not saying
as I said earlier in the show,
lots.
VAR, if you literally... I mean, those 2 games alone put us in touching distance of the top 4. And I can literally think of probably... I'd say
but we can't. At the end of the day, they could go for you, could go against you. Look, I hate VAR like every other bloke. But at the end of the day, VAR's there. VAR's making the decision. It could go either way. So I'm not going to go, we could have won them games, put us 6 points, we'd be in. I get where you're coming from, but you could have not VAR and some linesman fucked up on a offside, and he's gone, oh fuck yeah, I got that wrong. Sorry, I put my hand up. I am only a human. We still don't get the 3 points. For me, I can't blame the referees and that. Look, even though we should, but they could go either way. They could go for you, could go against you. Now we didn't get the rub of the green. For me, I get where you come from, recruitment. I get where we're going to have next season, where in the summer we do need 1, 2, maybe 3 good players coming in. But if we're here again this time next, I'm not blaming that, mate. Like, something's got them drastic has to change. And I'm proud of these boys, right? I'm proud that we got a 3-3 draw against Westham. But can you remember in the last decade when you've actually said we got a draw against Westham? They outplayed us for the first 45 minutes. We came back in the second half and, leveled it up. Well done, boys. Like, West Ham. Like, I don't remember saying West Ham fucking outplayed us.
But that's just having an elitist mentality, Tez. I mean, I don't mean this in any disrespect, but it's very easy to say, well, this team's shit because you look at them as a small club. When at the end of the day, different teams are performing, which also are, to an extent, you can argue, are either because of the lack of fans or the way that their system is. Maybe they don't need a preseason. These smaller clubs are performing better, whether you like it or not, because of coronavirus. I genuinely don't see these teams developing the same way. And
worse.
Just because the team who are performing, I mean, look, I had West Ham down as fucking relegation favourites when we did the predictions at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
they've proven everyone wrong, and I think it's the same in the Leicester season, saying, "Oh my God, we finished below Leicester, well they won the league." Like, there's a very good chance West Ham could get in the Champions League this year. Like, it's not fair to say that, because West Ham have been consistently excellent for, I would say, 85% of the season so far. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not fair to kind of make that sort of statement when teams are doing so much better than expected. Yes, we're doing worse than we would have expected, don't get me wrong. But yeah, these teams are performing way above where people would expect it. And to be honest, fucking fair play to them.
Okay, let's move on. Tony, have you got any to add on that, mate?
I've lost the will to live, so no.
Mohammed, he says, do you think we should try signing Bamford next season? I like Bamford. I reckon he's really good.
I'd rather Danny Ings, but in all fairness, I saw Bamford. He was on loan at Palace from Chelsea. I don't know how many years ago. He hadn't really played. No one had really heard of him. Like, he was one of them that he was kind of touted as the next big thing, but hadn't really played and whatnot. And he was a kid, came on. Fuck me, his movement's insane. I remember, like, he's one of them players every time. Every time he moved, I was like, fuck, we're in trouble. But I mean, this is the first year where he's ever scored goals properly. He just misses too many chances for me. As I said, for me, it'd be if you said him or Ings, it'd be a very easy decision for me. And the thing is, I don't think you're ever going to get a clinical Bamford, and that's always going to be a problem because you're under the microscope more at a bigger club or a club that's expected of doing more things. So every time he misses a chance, he'll be on his back. I mean, look, even last season, it was, is he going to be able to score enough goals to get him out of the Championship? And you could argue whether he did or didn't. They got up, but was that he still missed a lot of chances. So then at the start of this season, it was like, can you be in the Premier League with Bamford? I remember there was a time earlier in the season where he quote tweeted a journalist saying that, and he was like, oh, here we go again. I get this every year. He's just, he does a lot of the game right, but he's not clinical enough. And look, he's having a good year. I'm not taking that away from him, but
yeah.
I wouldn't want him leading the line for us every week, even though I think he has some excellent qualities.
Hakon says first 30 minutes. It was if the players. Was it the players or the manager's fault or both? Weird how we can't go out all guns blazing. When is the last game before a break, especially after a poor home game as well? I agree. I just think it's, for me, it's getting back to, look, we're just not good enough. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way, right? Like, maybe my expectations of finishing top 4 for 20 years still resonates in my head. And these last 3 years have been a little bit, okay, back to reality. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what a lot of Arsenal fans feel the same thing is. Our expectations for the last 20 years under Wenger have been finishing top 4. So why can't we finish top 4? He did it for 20 fucking years. I get we've changed the manager. I get Emery was not the bloke. Now Arteta's in, and I understand we're all rebuilding. And I think that's just what we're going to do. Sit back, take a deep breath, and see what happens in the rebuild. And, okay, hopefully we can get back up there. But at the end of the day, we aren't on City's level. We aren't on Liverpool's level. We are 5th, 6th, 7th. I like to put us in that bracket. I like the fact we don't go out and spend 100 million, 200 million on players like City. That's why we support Arsenal, because at the end of the day, we just love the club, don't we? Like, really, like, it is what it is. Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea how you got onto that from the question that was asked.
Well,
he said is the manager or the players, and why can't we go out all guns blazing before an international break? And you turn it into we're 9th. Like,
yeah, but like people think that like West Ham are runovers.
Yeah, but no, he didn't mention that.
Runovers.
He didn't ask that.
We can't
I can start talking about things that no one asked. I've got a boxing fight on the TV that was from 2 years ago. Do you want me to commentate on that? Nothing to do with what anyone cares about.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Tony, why don't we just speak about the circle then?
Swins on it. Just ask him.
Hack on.
So we actually answer your question, or
no? Go on. Answer the question.
I thought it was both. I thought the players were terrible. I thought Arteta got it wrong massively early on. Changed it, so fair play to him. He wasn't stubborn. And why can't we go out all guns blazing after having a bad result on the Thursday? You answered your own question. We played on Thursday. What 7 of them players probably played 90 minutes on Thursday. Most of them players have probably played. I mean, take out Declan Rice, I'd say Xhaka's probably played more minutes than pretty much every player at West Ham, including Declan Rice even. Declan Rice has not missed a game this season, and Xhaka has missed games, but then he plays every game in Europe and in the FA Cup. It's just fatigue. It happens. It's life. It's harder to play Thursday, Sunday than it is to play Sunday.
Right. Thanks for answering.
Well,
Why doesn't Laka get a penalty? We discussed that earlier. New contract for Laka or not? For me, sell in the summer. I'm happy to sell. This is from Hackon. For me, sell in the summer, he says. Tony?
Obviously, I'm not his biggest fan, as everyone knows. But again, it comes down to what you can replace him with. There's no point selling if you can't bring anything in. Because then you're stuck with, okay, maybe Aubameyang central and Eddie as the replacement still, which is not good enough. And there's also not enough options there. But if you can sell him and get someone in for a similar fee or not much more, that I don't particularly rate Odsonne Edouard, and people go over the top about him. For me, I think he's bang average. But if he is the level everyone else thinks he is, and you could sell Laka for say 20 and get Edouard for 25, I'm just making up numbers. But you could get someone who is going to be there for a long time without spending too much on top, then yeah, you've got to go for it. But as I said, it depends. For that to happen, someone's got to want to buy Lacazette, who's got a year left on his contract, is 29 or 30 now, hasn't pulled up trees, if we're honest, in an Arsenal shirt. So then what money are you looking at? 20, 25? Okay, as long as you can replace. Again, I don't want to keep going back to him, but it's where someone like Danny Ings on a free is perfect because you can get 20, 25 in, get Ings or someone else in for free, and then you've got 20, 25 to go and improve another area. But it all depends on what's available. I don't think a new contract will be offered regardless, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sees out the contract.
Yeah, I'm ready to sell him. Fucking off. See you later, buddy. Rowan says 2-hour podcast so far. Lol. Can you make it 3 hours?
No.
If I just see
But it depends. If Tez keeps answering questions that no one's asked, we could be here for 12 hours.
Completing the top involves cutting out all the unnecessary, all too much common individual errors in the game. I'm not sure what that is.
That's right.
And Sam says obvious. Well, did I read that? I read that.
Yeah, you did.
Yep, read that. Move on. Michael says, why is it Arsenal sides of the last decade? Oh, here we go. Could be here for a while. Last decade tend to excel when we're already behind or chasing a comeback. It's almost like sometimes the team don't try properly until it's either too late or we're 2-0 down early on. Look, it is a trend. Jack, I'll give you a shout. The answer to this question,
Can I just go quickly before Jack? Do you know what's funny about that question? Up until Southampton, which I think was either end of Jan, start of Feb, we had gained 1 point from a losing position this season, and that was at home to Southampton in a draw. So there's the statistics behind that question.
Mr. Statman himself, eh?
I saw a stat, fun enough, earlier where it said that we were, if you were to do a table from Christmas Day onwards, we're third.
I thought it was fourth, but yeah.
But yeah, do you mind just popping that question up again though? Because I just lost track from what.
No, it was on Twitter.
Said.
Hang on, now I've got to go and get me fucking phone. I've got to have a look for it. Yeah, because it was the last question. I thought, oh yeah, beauty, you'll just answer that and we can go.
Yeah, but I lost my train of thought when Tony started talking.
Why is it that Arsenal sides of the last decade tend to excel when we're already behind or chasing comeback? It's almost like sometimes the team don't try properly until it's too late or we're 2-0 down. Oh, look, I agree. It seems that way, but I don't think they do it deliberately.
I just think we generally seem to be that bit better under pressure over the last decade or so. There have been a lot of seasons where we've underperformed, but we've won big games or we've won cups. I think it's a weird one because in the past I would have said that obviously we hadn't beaten any top 6 team in God knows how fucking long. But we, this season especially, are fine with that. Like, that seems to have changed. So I would like to think it will change. But yeah, I would definitely say that in the last 10 years, we are better when we are the underdog or under the cosh, or whether that's because we're behind or what. However, then again, though, if you look at some of the Wenger games, like, for example, the 6-0s, I mean, we were never fucking coming back in any of them.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't think there's any reason. I don't think they go out deliberately and go, oh, we're going to go 2-0 down and we're going to get our asses kicked. We have to put our shit in the gear. Mate, I'm just trying to think. Like, there's 3 managers in that decade. So it's hard to go pinpoint that's the problem.
Under Emery, with the amount of fucking times, I mean, Tony can definitely vouch for this because, I mean, I remember sitting about 2 or so rows behind him for probably the most of that season. Under Emery, fuck me, the amount of times we were ahead in the game and ended up drawing or losing was a joke. I mean, the Watford game alone is probably the best example. Watford away last season. No, not last season. Was it last season or season before?
Last season.
Last season. I mean, that's one blatant example. But yeah, it really is kind of dependent on the manager. But yeah,
I don't know.
I don't really know if you can answer that. It's kind of 50-50.
I just don't think the question's particularly true. I just think it sticks in your mind when you have a comeback like coming from 2 or 3-0 down. But
yeah, maybe,
I think we're definitely bottom half for points won from losing positions this season. I know in January we was bottom. We had 1 in December. So we had nothing. September, October, November, 0. one in December, and then Southampton, whenever that was our first win from a losing position. And then since then, we've had Tottenham, and is that it in the league? And West Ham now we got a point. So if that's it, that's
Leicester.
3, 6,
That's pretty
8.
good.
Yeah, 8, Leicester 11. So we've got 11 points, which will be probably bottom half of the league with that. And look, someone's got to win it. I don't know. I've not looked at the stats. I only know they kept coming up earlier in the season. Like it was like, if Arsenal go behind, they've lost basically. So that's the only reason I know it for this season. But in general, I just don't feel like it's true. And it might be. I just don't feel like it.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked back. At the end of the day, it does feel like it. I get that. I get that.
Well, I mean,
vibe
as
there.
looking like if I think about last season, again, this is just off the top of my head. Jack's just mentioned Watford, where we were ahead. We didn't come from behind. Palace, we were 2-0 ahead. Didn't come from behind. No games really stick out to me where we was massively behind or even 1-0 down at times. I can't remember any game last season where we was 2-0 down and came back, apart from Tottenham, which was
I was
in the
going to
first
say,
2 weeks.
I do worry when we're 2-0 up and I still worry, like, you know what I mean? Like when we're in front, I think, oh, fuck, here we go. This is, we don't,
Yeah, see,
we do let them back in.
This is what's funny about the question, because most Arsenal fans would say the opposite's true. Oh, why do I still feel nervous at 4-0? So it's like one side he's saying, I feel nervous when I feel like we don't start until we're 2-0 down. The other side is saying, we stop when we're 4-0 up. Well, you can't be both. You can't be 2-0 up and 4-0 down.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. So, as I said, I've not done the stats, and maybe I'm completely wrong. I just feel like the question
I get
isn't
that.
right.
Can I just say quickly though? I want to ask you guys this. I personally do see a huge difference with Arteta when we are, I'd say, behind, especially of recent, since Christmas. And if I was to look back at past seasons and past managers, I can't remember a time where we would have been 3-0 down and fall back and even drawn the game and not ended up, if anything, ending up losing 6.
I get the feeling Arteta really rips into him. At half time, I just get this feeling that when you walk into a dressing room, you're 2-0 down, Arteta is fucking ripping you a new one. And I get that vibe as that kind of manager, where with Emery, I got he's going to grab the whiteboard out and draw 50,000 lines and confuse the fuck out of us. That's just, I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong. But do you get that? You get that vibe out of Arteta? Like
I know what you mean. He comes across as an angry man, and that's not a negative.
Yeah.
Like my answer to Jack's question, and people will think, he's just being like, he's an Arsenal fan, he's going over the top. I actually think since Christmas, and that's not a good metric because the season doesn't start at Christmas, but since Christmas, I just think we're a very good team. And when I say very good, I'm not saying we're City's level or whatever. But I think the reason we've came back from behind more, the reason we've won more games, is we've just been a good team since then. And will that keep up? Are we just having a spell? Because we had a similar spell last year. And then we started this season like shit. So are we now a good team? I don't know. Have we been a good team for the last 3 or 4 months? I feel like yes. And of course I can go, but this happened and that wasn't good. But in the whole, I just think we've been a good team for the last couple of months.
I agree.
You remember when we went unbeaten in the Emery, like it was, how many games was that?
22, but we were shit in about 8.
I was going to say, we were absolute shit, but we still won ugly, if that makes sense. I haven't seen that under Arteta. Like, it is just win or lose. Like, I see where you're coming from, Tony. We're a much better team Christmas than what we were before Christmas. Maybe things are working.
As I said, I just feel like we're a much better team. And as I said, well, I don't know if we're a much better team. We've played much better. And I think that's unfair. Like, I think Brighton, we won ugly. You just don't remember winning ugly. Like, so the Emery, you remember it because it was a long run. I know, and look, this is unfair picking on you because your memory is not the best. But I know no one can pick out one game from that. I mean, I could probably name all 22 of them, but I'm weird. But do you know when people go, we won ugly under Emery, and you say, okay, tell me what game? Most people go, 22 game run. Okay, tell me a game. And they'll go, and the only game anyone ever remembers is a 4-2 against Tottenham, and I can tell you that weren't ugly. Like, and even me, like, as I said, my memory for football is pretty good. I can remember some draws we got that we shouldn't have done. So we got battered by Wolves, and we got a point under Emery. in that 22 game run. Maybe Bournemouth away, but I wouldn't say we won ugly. They scored an own goal, but I wouldn't say it was particularly ugly. So even someone like me who remembers these things, I remember clearly saying we were shit and we got away with things, but I can't remember exact games. So now we say, oh, it doesn't seem like that. That's just because you don't remember them games. Do you know what I mean? They're not memorable.
I don't know where you come from. I'm going to move on quickly, though. Justin says, are you guys concerned with Leno's recent form? So I don't know if Justin's just tuned in or not. Shout out, Justin. Thanks for the question, mate. I'd be interested if he has just tuned in, because if he's thinking Leno's recent form, so he's thinking like you, Tony, and he says, should Matt Ryan come in? I don't know where Justin is. He could be an Aussie. It is brilliant Australian time at the moment, so maybe he's thinking like me. I'm off Matt Ryan coming in.
The issue with Matt Ryan is he's Australian first.
Oh, fuck off.
No, I always talk about auditions in football, and he's not had a chance to have one. He played one game that was only ever going to be one game because obviously Leno was suspended, and Arteta likes a number one, so then no one else gets a chance. So then how do you prove you're good enough to take that number one spot? And look, a lot of clubs do it, so this is not a hammering Arteta or a hammering Arsenal, but the problem with Matt Ryan is he's not going to get the chance to have the audition. You can't just throw him in one day. So what you need is, he's unlucky because if he'd have signed in the summer, he gets the Europa League group stages. He looks immaculate. Leno looks like shit one game, and then suddenly Ryan might get a chance. But Matt Ryan's not going to get that chance this year, and we don't know if he's going to sign next year. I would sign him, and then the Europa League group stages is audition. But I think short term, he's not really going to get a chance unless we go really deep in Europa League and Arteta fucks off the league, and then Ryan gets a chance to play. But I often think that's unfair on players because they come in as part of 10 changes and everyone's on audition and no one looks great because they don't play together. And then it's kind of like, well, he failed when he had the chance.
No, I'm hearing you. Okay, boys, I'm going to wrap that up. We've gone 2 hours and nearly 10 minutes. So you've been listening to the Arsenal podcast. Where are we? Clock and Talk. I'm looking for our new Twitter. You can follow us at the CET podcast. Now it rolls off the tip of the tongue like a fucking genius. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for downloading. Next week, we will have something during the week or next week for you Patreons. Thank you guys, for your marvellous support. Thanks, gentlemen.
Cheers. It's coming home.
It's fucking coming home. Who are you playing?
I ain't got a fucking clue.
What, this week? Who
are you?
We've got San Marino, Albania, and Poland.
Oh, fuck off. You get done by the Albanians. Fucking you, Goody. I'm on that. Okay, lads.
Kids of Australia are a great footballing entity, is it?
What are you saying? You're talking about Australia now?
Well, we'd batter you. It'd be like Arsenal playing Barnet.
Oh, fuck off. You don't batter us. It's funny though, like how a country like you clowns can invent a game and be so shit at it. I'm so confused at that.
It's because they all hate each other.
You just are so shit at it. Like invented
the players back in the day.
Even cricket. I'm sure you invented cricket too, and you're so shit at that too.
We invented everything. We did.
Yeah, you probably did.
If it's worth talking about, we invented it. But
we did own half the world.
Yeah, we know down here. Anyway, let's go. We could get in deep shit here, so I'm moving on very quickly. See you, boys. Let's go. See you.
It's coming home.